Okay, this is a new phone. I am not really sure how things are going to turn out, but I'm stealing this idea from Bianca, who did um, everything that I did in Art 2, and I'm going to rename it Everything I Did in Basic Drawing at MJC. Uh, that way I can just put this stuff away and not worry about being like, oh, I want to see it again. This is for me. This is selfish. I'm also just looking at myself. So at the beginning of the semester was real boring. Wow. My niece recently went through all this, so all this stuff is kind of out of whack. Let's see. All right, we'll start with this. It's a really simple, she set up a still life of vases and cups and bottles and whatever on a box, and you had to draw it. And if you look close, you can see all of my lines that I darkened because I was done with it and I wanted to make it look nice and clean. And then the next day at class, she goes, hey, we're gonna make it just the outline. We're gonna make just the outline of it be it. And so I had to go back and try to erase as much of the dark lines as possible. And we stuck with vases and the like for a long time. Here's another one. This one's got an egg in it. One there and one down there. Those were the first big assignments. Here's an unfinished one. It's whatever. And she wanted to teach us, well, actually, here she did a big setup, which I actually did kind of like this one, because she had this big old setup in the middle of the room of a bunch of stuff and chairs interlocking with each other, and some cloth cutting out this area right here. And she said, you're going to do this whole big thing and we're going to do something with it later. So the thing we did with that later was we had to basically shrink it down into a much smaller portion. So we did one, oops, that's got my name on it. One where it's you take a tiny portion of it and you cut that out. So I took, is this the one? I took this area out and cut it out. We did a couple of these. Got that one. We've got this one. I do like this one because I like the really highs and lows. And then we had to take that whole big thing and shrink it down to a really tiny one. And so that's what that looks like. Oops. It's just a really small one. It's very cute, very little, and I'm afraid of ripping it. So I try not to touch it a whole lot. Next, we were learning about perspective. Oh, I have these sketches back here. She was trying to get us to learn about some shading and some, doing more sketchy lines and more, I can't think of the word right now. But so she had us do some really quick timed sketches. So this was the shortest one. I don't remember which of these is the next shortest one. Maybe this one. And they're all of the same thing. And then this one was the one that was the longest. Maybe. I just feel like because this is a little bit more defined. But once we got into perspective, she was trying to teach us 1-point perspective where you have a singular vanishing point. And some 2-point perspective. This one's a little harder to see. You'll have a better version in a second. So this is just a study of mostly 1 point, well, half and half, 1 and 2 point perspective with boxes. She had a whole long meticulous way of measuring everything out, making sure everything was right. Whatever. Then she had us do a project with it, which was whatever we wanted it to be, but it had to fill the page in 1-point perspective. So we've got some of this, some fish. We've got some waves over here. I guess these are just, I think these are supposed to be falling leaves. This is a pirate flag. I was in a play at the time called Peter and the Starcatcher. So I was very into some oceany, maybe these were supposed to be like sort of totem pole-esque things. We've got some pirates over here. And there's the crocodile that becomes the TikTok croc in Peter Pan, right? Well, in this, usually he is pretty big. He becomes big by magic, and so on the stage we represented him by these 2 lamplights and these 2 rows of like cut out cardboard that were teeth. So here are his eyes and his rows of teeth here, and these are the only ones that you see on the bottom, and everything else is just kind of to take up space. I really do like this one. I think it looks pretty cool. Next up is another unfinished one that I thought would have looked really cool, and then I gave up on doing it. We have a fully 2-point perspective project, which I was going to have like a layered castle effect, but it just got really meticulous and I gave up. And I think I would still want to do something like this because I think it looks really cool, but I just couldn't be bothered to finish it for the class, I guess. I think I was working on some other projects too, that I hadn't had finished. So then our next thing that we were introduced to, I believe, is drawing like taxidermied animals. So she brought in some mostly birds and some skulls and stuff for us to sketch out for the first time that she was introducing this to us. And so I spent a good while working on this duck. Look at his cute little eyes. He looks so happy. So I've got a duck and on whatever wood that they put him on. And then I drew a skull after that. And then I finished that and I was like, let me try another bird. It's going to be easy. And so I flipped over my page and I drew this little bird that looks nothing like the little bird that was there. And look at those little ugly feet right there. It's a little ugly bird. He just lives there now. And then we did a project with that, which was, we went to, there's a museum that's sort of part of the college, but not exactly. We went to that museum and we had to choose one of the animals that are in the museum to draw. So I chose this little lemur because I thought it was really cute, obviously. And look at that little face. How do you not love that little face and those little tiny whiskers and that little nose? And I also loved the tail. And we were supposed to do some other details in the piece, so I drew the log and stuff, and I started drawing the background. Apparently I either didn't finish or thought that it looked good enough and maybe the background would have been distracting. I don't know. But I thought that one turned out pretty good. And she was introducing us to chiaroscuro, which is just to make it look more realistic. So we went back to vases, and you can tell that I didn't go very far in my shading of the background because it was taking forever. But my vases and stuff look really nice, I think. And there's another little egg in there. See him down there? Next up is the last one of this section, which was supposed to be a 4-part thing. 1, I didn't finish it. 2, I don't remember what all 4 parts were. 1 was doing pointillism. They were all the same pair with little grapes or whatever. So we have pointillism. You can see all the little dots. 1 down here, I think, was supposed to be doing like what's it called, like hatching and cross hatching. Didn't finish it. And then there was 1 down here that was supposed to be something else. I don't remember what it was, but the one that I'm most proud of is the chiaroscuro one because I felt like it turned out pretty dang good. We've got some shine on the grapes, some dramatic lighting, some reflections on the bottom of the pear. You've got the main little imperfections on the pear. It looks pretty good. And that's all that I have for the first half of class. Then we went into charcoals, which really suck. I'm not a fan of my fingers getting dried out, and charcoal's a lot like ceramics, where, you know, the clay dries out your hands and everything because your hands contain moisture and that's what they absorb. So needless to say, I did not especially enjoy this part of the semester. Let's see. I should maybe move some stuff. Hold on. Okay, we're back. So in this little section, we also had some Conte stuff, which wasn't necessarily my favorite, but I definitely didn't think it was as bad. So we have like this little vase and a bell pepper. We've got a little like tea steamer, water steamer. I don't know exactly what it is. Coffee pot, maybe. I really liked that one because I didn't actually have to use a lot of color or a lot of, you know, shading or highlighting. I could just kind of add a couple lines here and there and the illusion came across. We had an arrangement that was all negative, which looked all right. I'm not very good. I feel like I'm not very good at hitting the negative points without making it look like it's outlined, because obviously it's outlined. We also have this one that's using lights and darks. It's pretty basic. It looks pretty nice. I like the more shiny bits of it. I think they came out better than like the things that were more dull, like this in the bottle. The things that were more shiny, I feel like come across a lot better. As far as actually getting into charcoal, I did not enjoy it. But to start off, she had us do a couple of sketches, sort of sketch things, where we just chose like one object, drew it on a background with no ground. So we've got a bottle just floating in the air. And we have, I guess this vase has a background and a ground and shadow and stuff. So we've got this vase. I don't really like this spot over here where there was a lot of muddiness. My fingers are already getting dirty again. So, of course, we're being introduced to a new type of medium, but we're still using the same subjects, which was getting kind of annoying. So here we are again, another still life of vases and boxes and everything. You can tell I wasn't exactly the most happy to use this stuff. You have some really dark spots that don't really blend in. But it's one of those things that at that point I couldn't be bothered to fix it. I have this hair that's just sticking up. She also was introducing us to the concept of drapery and fabric. So she had us do this one where there was 2 whites and 2 blacks, and just kind of pinned them up, and we had to draw them with no sketching or anything underneath. I feel like it turned out pretty good. I feel like the whites really, I could really hit the lighter lights. With the black, it's a little harder because there's less contrast, so you have to really dig into it. But I feel like overall it turned out pretty good. They look kind of like ghosts to me. 1, 2, 3 ghosts. Then we got into almost the end where we were prepping for a project that she called the King of, I don't know, it was something like the Bovine King, or I don't know. Something like that. Deer King, maybe. But so she was having us draw some sticks in a vase with a skull. So it just, another still life. Pretty proud of that skull. Looks pretty dang good. Check out that detail on his, the lower part of his antlers. There's another one back here, but doesn't look as nice. I do not enjoy sticks, but they're there. That's all you can ask for. Then the last project for this was whatever it was called, but it had some very dramatic light, and it was really challenging, trying to challenge you to hit those lights and the darks, and we had some striped fabric on top of, with a, single colored object on top, some regular stuff. I think it was like a flag, like a black and white version of a flag. And you've got the lower skull and the upper skull, the shadows behind everything. I'm actually really proud of this one. For as much as I dislike using charcoal, I think this one came out really, really good. And yeah, I really like that fabric on this side. And I'm gonna pause again so I can rinse off my hands for the very last little project that we did. That was our final. So I'll be right back. Okay, last one. The final was basically you can do whatever you want with whatever you want as long as we used it in class. It had to cover the whole page and had to use like multiple things that we learned in class. And since I didn't like charcoal and I didn't want to mix pen or marker with pencil, I did an all marker drawing. I don't know, I used to have a page that had some little thumbnail ideas of a couple different things. I don't know where that went, but this is my final. We've got this wave kind of thing with these tentacles that run along each side. So we've got a lot of symmetry. We've got half of a, what are they called? Compass. Half of a compass on either side. I was still not done doing Peter and the Starcatcher, so I was still very much in the mood of nautical themes. Originally, this was a person in a wrapped up in silks, but when I started doing like the knot and the silks itself, it really just started looking like a tree. So it's kind of this tree design once you get up top. You have this sort of goo coming down, and I really like the these weird shapes inside of it that really draw a lot of movement and chaos that are on the top and the bottom. And I just have some sort of hatching grate in the back. My person has some little cross hatching on their back leg, is pretty flat on the front, has some kind of cat helmet and like a skull face. No hand, because I wanted to avoid drawing a hand, so their blood is watering a little plant that I use some cross hatching and some pointillism. And then there's these little like flower pods all around, all over, that I thought were these kind of little interesting things that also give that sort of like layers on layers, because you've got, you know, different designs for every little layer that are on them. If it'll focus on it. And is there anything else that I'm missing? Oh, this right here was also because I wanted it to be sort of like a stage. You know, these are the stage curtains, but also that this was supposed to be the silks, so it was supposed to be like the silks flaring out, but also a stage curtain. I was very much into theater, and I still very much am into theater. I also have some sticks going across. As much as I don't like sticks, they're okay here, I guess. And I drew some sort of moss or something hanging off them. I think somewhere in here I have like a line that I drew through something. I'm not sure where, but if anyone's actually watching this and anyone sees it, let me know, because it's there somewhere. It's definitely there, just not sure where. But yeah, that was everything that I drew in basic drawing. I am currently enrolled in figure drawing because I don't have a lot of experience drawing people, and I need to get better, and I want to get better, and I think it'll be fun. Right now we're working on the human face, which I have not gotten very far on my work for that project. So after this, that's probably what I'm going to be doing. So thanks for watching, and maybe I should do a couple more videos like this. Maybe I should be an art channel. I don't know. Probably not. This is mostly for me.